Alright, what's up everybody? It is time for another clan boss video. I know I've been wanting to work on this for a while. To tell you the truth, it's just been a little bit hard to motivate myself because I am waiting for those 6-star artifacts, and I kind of want to move on with that, and I've been kind of playing a little bit of Overhit, but I did want to touch on kind of the newest craze that's been going on in the last few weeks. Everybody's been hopping on the debuff extension train, and so I think everybody's probably seen a lot of screenshots of what can be done with a few of these champions. Namely, if you see this very top guy in my guild, Traveler, a big shout out to him. He's been doing a ton of damage on Nightmare, and as you can see, his team basically revolves around Septimus. And Septimus is this guy at the very top here. It's the far right person in his team, and he has, we can go look at Septimus real quick. And so what does Septimus bring to the table? Septimus brings, I think he's a Banner Lord. Yep, okay. He brings this awesome passive, Giant Killer. So I mean, it's kind of like just the name of it is made for a clan boss. Each attack has a 30% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs on the target by 1 turn. So that means you get a poison, you get a few poisons on him. This guy, with his just basic attacks, can keep extending the duration of those poisons. So you really don't even need to land them anymore. You're just keeping them on for every single turn that the boss goes. The poisons will be stacked. So ideally you have defense break, weaken, attack down, HP burn, and poisons. So you can have 6 poisons and an HP burn, which is 50,000 per poison per boss turn. That's 300,000, and the HP burn is, I believe, 75k. So you're looking at every time the boss goes, he's just taking a static 375,000 damage, which, as you can see, probably adds up to quite a lot of damage over time. And then you're just relying on, War Master / Giant Killer / just passive damage throughout the fight. So once you have a guy like this, where your debuffs are permanent, then you really want to just focus on survivability. The other thing that Septimus I really like about him, he brings this to the table. He also does damage based on enemy max HP, so he has a little bit of Royal Guard's second skill in him, and so he really is kind of a damage monster. The other way to go that people have been kind of going about it is with a Void legendary called, I think he's an orc. The Void legendary, not Angar, but Warlord. And so Warlord also has an attack that, here he goes. It's on his skill 1. He has a 25% chance, he goes up to 40% chance of increasing all the debuffs by 1 turn. So he does it with his skill 1. Septimus does it with all of his attacks. So they're roughly equivalent. This guy, however, does bring more survivability to the team as opposed to more damage. Places block debuffs on all allies and places a shield equal to 30% of this champion's max HP, and he restores all of allies' HP by 25%, I believe, of their own HP, or just flat 25% of their health bar. So this guy's definitely very defensive, and he's really, really good on all the times when the Nightmare boss falls below 50%, and you start getting those nasty debuffs like accuracy down and speed down. Attack down from the fire is not a big deal. But I will be making a video after this. The next installment, I do want to cover the individual boss fights once it goes below 50, but that's to be determined when that's going to happen. So these are the two that people have really been kind of clamoring about, and if you have any of either Septimus or Warlord, you pretty much have them made a made comp for Clan Boss, as long as you get an attack down character. If you have Tyrell plus one of those two, you're set. So if you look at this Traveler's team, he's running, you know, Apothecary Speed Up, and Steel Skull is his only poisoner. And Steel Skull also provides survivability and gets rid of the stun on the boss's third attack. So you're looking at this team, I mean, it's all about going fast, surviving, placing a few poisons, and then having Septimus just do his thing. So I unfortunately don't have Septimus, I don't have Warlord, and I was like, well, how am I going to get on this train in order to test some stuff out? So I was looking through the champions, and I did find a pretty good replacement. And now I'm looking at the boss, and the boss just went blue. So I'm trying to think if this will work for me. Yeah, we can go ahead and try it. So we found, let's see, get rid of all that. We found this guy, right? Actually, let's go back. He is a Skinwalker, and this guy, Flesh Terror, the ultimate buff debuff support bot. Now, I do caveat this video by this guy makes your comp really hard to play, and there's a lot of RNG in it, but he does bring to the table some really interesting skills. Namely, he's got a 4-turn cooldown on his debuff extension, and he decreases the duration of enemy buffs on you by 1 turn as well. So he can somewhat purge your team of the shitty debuffs that you have on yourself from the elemental bosses. But I think where this guy really shines is he has this. He's got a heal, and he increases buffs on your team by 1 turn. So what this means is if you can actually make use of both of these, then this guy all of a sudden brings quite a lot of value to your team. Now, what I mean by this is what are the buffs that you really want to extend? And you can't, unfortunately, extend like damage immunity or something like that. So I believe the highest value buff that you can extend is counterattack. So my idea around this comp was to build this guy with Skull Crusher, and if Skull Crusher gets the passive extend, he puts up a counterattack for 3 turns, and this guy can technically extend it for 4 turns, which means Skull Crusher just needs to cast 1 of his counterattacks before the boss does his first AoE, and a lot of the time you'll be able to get counterattacks for both of the boss's AoE, and it also extends the protection that Steel Skull offers to the team. So let's go ahead and see if we can run this guy on the blue boss. I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't think I've ever done it, but and the other thing is my Flesh Terror is definitely not super geared. He is God, I think I have him in reflex speed because I want those skills to be up as often as possible. And it's just kind of like remnant gear that I had built on him prior. So what I ideally like to run is I usually do it on when the boss is over 50% because I haven't because it is a mixed comp. So let's see. I usually run Tyrell as my lead because I need the attack down, and I'll show you guys my regular comp. My regular comp, I use Apothecary for speed. I use Marksman for turn meter boost and poisons, and I use Skull Crusher, and I use, where is this little dude? Flesh Tear. So you can see my only source of damage in this comp is Marksman, really, and like counterattacking Giant Slayers and stuff like that. Because the boss is blue, I'm going to sub out Marksman for Aothar, and let's see if this can work. We're a little bit worried about not having a purge for the boss's attack up. So we're hoping that Aothar's one skill can do the job here. But all right, let's run it and see how it fares. We're also going to be a little bit slower because we won't have Marksman's turn meter boost. So ostensibly, we're not going to be as effective as we would like. All right, first off, let's get a defense down, speed up, and counterattack, and extend it. All right. So we get all those buffs, debuffs on the boss. And we don't have a poison on counterattack, which kind of hurts. We would like to have that marksman doing his thing. All right, now we're going to extend the buffs, the debuffs. All right, we got a good extension. Come on, Aothar, we need you to take that attack up off of the boss as often as possible. And see, you notice for the boss's second AoE, we still had his counter, and his counter is back up. We could even like extend it now again, but we don't have a fresh counter up, so we're just, the other thing he does is he transfers debuffs from himself to the boss, so you know, kind of a little bit extra right there. Let's make sure he's topped up. Let's get this up. Land this defense down good. We don't want to use it yet because we don't have the poisons up on. There we go, Aothar. Okay, extended all those debuffs. And we're also, you know, extending the speed up as well. So that's a is our. So this is the key area in this round is our Skull Crusher fast enough to go again before the boss, when the boss has 10% of a turn meter. So let's try it out. Let's go a little bit risky and not cast the will we catch up to the boss, essentially? It looks like we will. Yes, we will catch up to the boss, so that's good. So now let's get our extend us. And okay, Eothar's poisons are coming up. Let's land defense down. We're not going to extend yet. So see, that's one turn where the boss didn't take poison damage. So ideally, we would have this a little bit faster. I think, honestly, I think Eothar's not skilled up, so his poisons aren't as fast as they could be. Okay, now we got some 4 and some 3/3s, so we should be a lot better off on this cycle. And it also frees up the ability to use Tayrell's third ability, because it's just, you have the attack down on the boss with all the counters and stuff, so it's nice. Alright, so far this run has been pretty smooth. The boss is about to start AoEing, so let's put up our counter. Come on, Eothar, take that off. Good, good. Remove the buff. Now we're going to extend. Okay, we're in the same position again. The boss is at like 13% turn meter, and it's Skull Crusher's turn. So we know we can outspeed him. So we're going to, although oh no, we're not losing our speed down, our speed up. Oh, we only landed 2 poisons because of the accuracy. That's poop. And we didn't land a defense down. So that's a shitty one. But we'll extend. We'll get our counter up. So the reason this comp is, especially with marksman, the reason this comp is really hard, because you're really trying to figure out, when should I use my 1A on marksman in order to try to get extra turns and extra poisons, or when should I use my turn meter boost, because you're looking at your team's bars and they might be full, you might not get a lot out of the turn meter boost. So it is fairly, it's not an autoable fight. I don't think it would do well on auto, but it does have potential, as you can see. So this Flesh Tear is a good, not a good substitute, but a workable substitute that offers, something a little bit different from Warlord and Septimus. He's obviously not as reliable when it comes to extending the debuffs. But let's see what's going on here. The boss is about to stun. Okay, this is just a regular hit. Oh, he went for my Flesh Tear. Why? Okay, it didn't matter because we didn't lose a cooldown, essentially. We might have lost the cooldown on just our debuff extension. Okay, and so at some point in the fight, once the boss enrages, you need to make the transition to keeping Skull Crusher alive through the stun. And so you need to like put up his immune, like you need to put up the counter early so that he doesn't die to the hit because he's immune. However, Skull Crusher will never get stunned because of his passive. He always removes the stun before he goes, so he never loses a cooldown on his counter attack, which is another reason why he's just so fucking awesome. Okay, everybody still has counter, so there's no real reason to use it. Oh, he resisted. That would have been a nice defense break to have. Okay, see, now the boss is at like 30% turn meter, so I don't think we could outspeed him now. So we're going to go ahead and place our counter up. Not do the increase. Place our debuffs. Yep, he went for him again. Yeah, he's getting too low and he's not healing himself up. He's lower than Tyrell, and the boss doesn't want to go for Skull Crusher because Skull Crusher's counter affinity. So that's the issue that we're having right now. So he's lost his counter. We're going to go ahead and put it up again. And we'll extend the debuffs. We're trying to milk our damage at this point. Okay, that was a pretty decent rotation. Okay, I kind of want him to focus on Skull Crusher, so I'm going to burn this heal. Keep him topped off. Let's see if he goes for Skull Crusher now. Oh, he went for Tyrell. See, he really wants to avoid hitting a counter affinity. That's really interesting. Hopefully Tyrell gets some lifesteal. Good. Hopefully that guy gets some lifesteal. Alright, this isn't the greatest extension, but we need it to heal up some people, so we're going to go ahead and use it. We're getting to the point where we need to cast the counterattack as much as possible because Home Slice Skull Crusher is taking a lot of damage. Okay, see, he did go for Skull Crusher. Skull Crusher's passive removes the stun, and we get a little bit of healing. Somebody's gonna get stunned. Who's gonna die? Apothecary or Flesh Terror? Looks like Flesh Terror is going down. Oh wait. Let's get a good debuff extension on him. Oh, both of them are going down. But now, before we do a bit of extra damage. And now he should kill Skull Crusher. And no proc on the thing, and that's unfortunate. We won't get another set of poisons. So these fights tend to be longer. There's a lot more like kind of thought process that goes into it. But as you can see, it is definitely a doable comp that can give you something to work with if maybe you don't have, you know, Juliana or some of the other like key characters. If you are interested in running something like this, I think Flesh Terror really shines when you are getting the debuffs down and getting and extending really key buffs. You could extend like defense up as well. That would be pretty nice. I'm not 100% sure how super effective defense up is. Like, will it let you take an extra rotation of hits? I'm not sure. I don't run Steel Skull a lot. I do plan on working on Steel Skull once the patch rolls around and we can get better artifacts. But as of now, I've been kind of focusing on, you know, making these different comps and seeing how they work. So, in short, guys, Flesh Terror is a bit of a underrated champ. I have not seen anybody really using him in Clan Boss, and I wanted to point out that he's a good, or at least a decent alternative to the debuff extenders, as long as you can make use of his second skill, which is the heal plus buff extension. That's where you get a lot of the value out of him, is when you can extend the buffs. I want to point out real quick, honorable mention to one more champion, which I think I've even said is garbage, and I think, you know, you could possibly work with her, and that's Arinez. She's a demon spawn, and I didn't really understand just how powerful speed is in Clan Boss. We're getting to be so fast that these kind of longer turn cooldowns don't matter. But here you go, you have an attack all enemies and increases the debuff duration by 1 turn. It's on a 4-turn cooldown like Flesh Tears, and it's 100% chance. So there's no missing here. So that's cool. That's what I wanted to say about Flesh Terror as well. He's also 100% chance of extending the debuffs. So it is a little bit more reliable, even though it is on a longer cooldown. It's definitely usable. She increases accuracy. Unfortunately, it's not all battles. She would actually be really good if this increased accuracy in all battles. I would rate her like maybe like one of the top 10 if that was the case. Here you go. What she also does is she brings her own dots, whereas she brings a 30% chance to place 1 poison on her 1A. You can get that up to 40%. Makes me think that something like an Arinez with Skull Crusher and Flesh Terror, Tyrell, and Apothecary, and you're looking at a team that doesn't bring a lot of passive poison damage. However, the dots that you do stick can really get extended. Now, the hard part about this girl is it's the same thing that's hard about Marksman's poison, is it's only one turn. So unless she goes right before your extender, she's not going to be able to extend her own debuffs unless she got a passive proc from the mastery that let her put a 2-turn poison on. So that's honorable mention. I've not tried her out. I honestly don't plan on building her, just because I think I've got a lot of people that I need to work on, and I'm going to be focusing a lot on artifacts with my remaining gems for when 1.8 comes out, plus any of the new content that they're promising on releasing, plus the new fusion, plus getting Arbiter quests done. So there's a lot going on. But anyway, guys, hopefully you found this video informative. I will be placing it in my Clan Boss Guide playlist. And yeah, like always, thanks for watching. Keep on grinding, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.